I get a lot of people asking me how we were blessed to walk away from corporate America in our early 30s. Well, listen, I don't want to keep that a secret. I want to share it with the world. And so maybe you're listening to this podcast and you're trying to figure out, how do I even get started on my journey of entrepreneurship and getting to a level of freedom? Well, text the word freedom to 737 777 9909. Enter your information in, and we look forward to sharing some information with you. A proven system with small overhead, right? That you can do part-time, spare time, right from the comfort of your home, and have amazing mentors, coaches, and a community of entrepreneurs who are willing to support you and help you on your journey to freedom. Welcome to Code Freedom. I'm your host, Eddie Bales. Have you ever felt stuck? Have you ever felt like there's got to be more than life than the reality that you see every day? Tune in weekly, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays as we crack the codes to freedom in every area of your life. Welcome to Code Freedom. This is your host, Eddie Bales, and this is episode 171. And today, I'm really excited. I have a gentleman that I just had as a guest on a call that I just did with my team, my organization that I'm a part of, and I'm gonna have him on the show. But I just want to share just one thought that I think can really help somebody who's looking to be free, and that is that it all starts with a decision. Like nothing happens until we decide first. Like we make the decision that we want to be free, right? Like it's got to be a decision followed by an obsession and a whole bunch of actions, right? But it all has to start with a decision that you consciously say, I am going to be free no matter what. And I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to find a way to get this freedom. And that's where I was at years ago, right? When I first started my business, is I knew that I wanted a free lifestyle, right? I hated like looking at the clock at work, like, oh my gosh, I got 5 more hours left. Like that's not a way to live. Like staring at the clock every day to know when you get to get off, and still struggling to pay the bills, right? Like there's got to be more. That's where I was at. That's what I felt like, and so you know, my point here that I want to drive is that we first decide. If you look at the word decide, uh, it's just like suicide, homicide. In some ways, it's like the death of something. So the death of everything else but that one thing, right? Like if you make a decision, it's the death of other decisions, right? It's the death of the opposite. If you make it, if it's a suicide, right? If it's a homicide, it's always has something to do with the death of something, right? And so when it comes to making a decision, to decide, it's got to be the death of all other options. Like if you don't decide, then your fate is being decided for you. So we want to get to a place where we make a bunch of. If you really look at it, our life is made up of a series of decisions that we've made, good or bad, right? Like some people would say, I'm here because this happened to me and that happened to me and this happened to me, so that's why I'm here and that's why this is that way. But if you really just took introspection of your life, all of us, and myself included, it's a bunch of decisions that we made that have got us to where we are today. So how can we shift those decisions? How can we shift them in a way where they could serve us? It could be a positive for us, right? Like you can decide who you hang with, you can decide who you marry, you can decide that you want to exercise, you could decide that you want to eat better, you could decide that you want to start a business, even if it's part-time, and decide every single day that I'm going to work it no matter what. Like even when things are not looking good, you decide that you're going to keep on working it until there is no expiration. It's just until you get the life that you deserve, and then things start to happen for you. So this decision, this mindset of making decisions, you know, um, I ask my nephews sometimes, "Hey, what do you want to eat?" I don't know, and I get that. As a kid, maybe you don't always know what you want. right? But as adults, certainly we should be able to make decisions. Well, you'd be surprised. A lot of times you ask adults what they want to eat, they won't know what they want to eat, right? But my point here is just that we are mindful of the decisions that we make on an everyday basis. We decide that we're going to have a positive mental attitude. We decide that we want a better life. And we don't just let the life that, like for instance, if you look at a garden, you have the green grass, and of course you have the weeds that grow. And if you just let that garden go, then of course the weeds are going to take over. You come back in 3 to 6 months, there'll be nothing but weeds in the garden. But if you tend to that garden, that's when it starts to look immaculate. That's when it starts to look beautiful, because you've tended to it. But you can't just not tend to it. You can't not tend to your mind. You can't not tend to exercise, because if you don't exercise, all kind of bad things are going to happen. Right? If you don't make a decision, then a decision will be made for you usually. Right? If you don't, it's always going to be a negative that could potentially happen, versus you deciding, making a decision, and steering your ship, setting your sail, deciding where you want to be, what you want to be, who you want to be, right? Where you want to live, how you want your lifestyle to be. And if we're going to have a life, why not have a lifestyle? It's one thing to have a life, but it's another thing to have a lifestyle. In that one song that Nicki Minaj has, she says, "Everybody dies, but not everybody lives." And it's so true, because so many people are just going through life, going through the motions. And then when an opportunity is presented to them, they don't want to take advantage of it. But guess what? That was a decision. And then 6 months from now, you're frustrated with the job, or the boss, or whatever, or your finances. Um, and you're like, man, I should have made that decision to do something, right? Your health, your relationships, like everything that we do is all based on a series of decisions, and they compound over time. And time will either promote you or expose you. There's this concept called the slight edge, and basically, um, it's doing the little things and that seem to make no difference in the act of doing it, but over time it starts to really show itself, and the compounded effect takes place. Okay, so if I eat a Big Mac today, nothing's really gonna happen to me, right? If I eat one tomorrow, hey, I'll be all right. But if I keep doing that for the next 6 months, you won't even be able to recognize me. I won't be able to recognize me, let alone will I be able to breathe and walk and all that stuff, because my body will be completely different because of those decisions that I made, right? And so we have to be the author of our books. We have to be the ones that have the pen in our hand, and we get to dictate it. So what I want you to do, I don't normally give homework assignments, but I want you to do a homework assignment for me. Will you all do that for me? I want you to grab a piece of paper, and I want you to write down what you want your life to look like. I want you to write down, I drive XYZ car. I live in this type of home. This is what my day to day lifestyle is like. This is what I'm able to do for my spouse. This is what I'm able to do for my parents. This is what I'm able to do for the ministries. This is a philanthropic work that I'm going to do in this country, right? With this much money, right? It's not even about having money for yourself. It's about being able to be a greater impact. Remember, we talked about this on a few episodes ago. Is not income, but impact. When can we get to a place where we live for impact and not for income? Where we're not looking for how much it's going to be, but we're looking for how many can we serve? How many people can we help? Because your life is already blessed. So I just want to have this little talk with you all today on decisions, because you know life is full of decisions, right? Every single day. What am I going to eat? What am I going to wear? When am I going to get up? Am I going to lay here for a little while, or am I going to just get up, right? And every single day we're making decisions, but it's time to change some of those decisions. Look at that list that you write down of the thing that you want to do, you want to be, you want to have, and then let's start writing corresponding decisions that will lead you to that life, right? That's what we want to do so that we can design it and live life by design instead of by default. So listen, I appreciate you all listening for this episode to this episode, what, 171. Look, we got thousands of downloads from all over the world, people from other countries. So I just appreciate you all. I can never thank you all enough for listening and feeling like this was a go-to podcast for you to listen to. And hopefully, I share some valuable things that can resonate with you and change your life because I'm all about impact for you. So I appreciate you all. This is another episode of Code Freedom. Let's connect in our Facebook group, the Code Freedom Podcast community. Right, you can join. Just go to thewaytofreedom.info and you can find that. Also, don't forget to give us a 5-star review. If you have like an Apple product, Apple phone, you can do that with Apple. For some reason, Google doesn't allow you to do a review, but give us a review if you're on Apple, and any other platforms. Give us a review and do a screenshot. Do a screenshot and tag us. We love to shout you out and celebrate you and really converse with you because, hey, if you listen to this podcast, in my opinion, you're a family. So I just want to appreciate you all. Take care, take charge, and be blessed. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for listening. Definitely feel free to take a screenshot of this episode, tag me in it on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you find me on social media. I would love to give you a shout out. Hey, you might even get a prize. Who knows? But excited that you had a chance to take a listen. I hope you got a lot of value. And definitely feel free to give us 5 stars as well as a review. Show us some love, and we appreciate you. God bless you all, and see you all over the top.